Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. As you guys can see, we're in the new Talkin VAWLS studio. The move is behind us. Still got a lot of work to do, a lot of boxes to get unpacked. Got to get comfortable in this new studio. Not really happy with the setup. What do you guys think? Jump in the comment section. And we need to shift the camera around. But let's talk a little recruiting. It's good to be back on YouTube after a couple of days off. Somebody sent me this on Instagram, and I thought this was kind of a good way to start the video. This is from the Players Lounge over on Instagram. Schools with the most five-star players on their current roster, because, you know, there's this narrative out there that Josh Heupel can't land the big fish. Josh Heupel can't reel in the five stars. People forget about Mike Matthews. People forget about Jordan Ross, about Nico Iamaleava. We just seem to think about and talk about the guys that Josh Heupel missed on. But I think we've got an opportunity in this class of 2025 with a guy like David Sanders, with a guy like Josh Petty that we're going to get into and talk about here in just a moment. But you can see, you know, it's the big three at the top, right? Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. But outside of that, Tennessee is not that far off. Five-star players, same as Miami and Penn State. You look Clemson and Oregon at 6, Texas and Texas A&M at 8. You know, Austin Price says all the time, you just got to land your fair share. What do you guys think about those numbers? Is it surprising? Is Tennessee kind of where you're at? Or do you think they're a little bit closer than what you thought? Interesting food for thought as we go into this video, because I think Tennessee does have an opportunity to go land some big fish, and I think David Sanders, Tennessee has set themselves up nicely. But another guy, 5-star interior offensive lineman, Josh Petty, you can see he dropped his top 5 a couple of days ago. Georgia Tech, Ohio State, Tennessee, Florida State, and Stanford. Now, Florida State seems to be the front runner, but Josh Petty, we all know the story. He grew up a Tennessee fan. He's going to be in town this weekend. Tennessee's going to have an opportunity to shoot their shot, to kind of shift some momentum away from Florida State. And a lot of people say, oh, it's over, it's done, why are we doing this? Well, look at last weekend, right? We went into the weekend saying that Shady Hayward was all Vol, that nobody had an opportunity. He takes the visit to Georgia. Now people are calling Georgia the front runner. The same thing with Charles House. All Vols takes the visit to Alabama. Now they have the momentum. Tennessee's going to have their opportunity to shift that momentum back on those guys. Onis Conanbanny, another guy they're going to have an opportunity to shift that momentum back. But this is their chance to shoot their shot, take their chances on 5-star offensive lineman Josh Petty. And VolQuest has kind of been going down this road talking about offensive line recruiting, and it sounds like Tennessee is focusing more on the interior guys like Nick Moore, like Douglas Utu, like Jacoby Ward. You've already got Anthony Agamoro in the boat. They're happy with their roster. They are happy with what guys like Gage Ginther have done throughout spring camp. They're happy with Jesse Perry, who made the shift over to offensive tackle, Jeremiah Hurd, Bennett Warren. So it sounds like VolQuest is saying that Tennessee is only going to take an opportunity, going to take the big-time prospects like a Josh Petty, a David Sanders, a Juan Gaston, and then other than that, they're focusing on the interior. So what does that mean for Jalen Matthews, 4-star offensive tackle that we've had on the channel? Sounds like, according to Austin Price, that Jalen Matthews is not going to take his visit to Tennessee. So you got to push all your chips in here. If you could land David Sanders and you could land Josh Petty, plus the guys that you've already got committed from last cycle, I think you've got an opportunity to start rebuilding this offensive line and start to add some depth to it. But we're going to talk about Josh Petty again. He's the headliner coming into the weekend for official visitors. But as always, I need you guys to do that YouTube stuff. Hit the thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy, and it helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're not reporters. We don't pretend to be any of that stuff. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Live every Tuesday night. Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, playing NCAA 14 revamp. But we're going to talk all things Tennessee football. We'll talk recruiting. We'll talk about expectations. We'll get weird. Whatever you guys want to talk about on a Tuesday night, we'll do it. Come hang out again live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But let's take a look at Josh Petty. Again, the headliner. Going into the weekend, he is a 5-star interior offensive lineman. He was listed as a tackle at one point, but now he's kind of shifting down to the inside, 6'4", 265 out of Georgia. Top 25 prospect. Again, he's a guy that, you know, that's how you can move the needle. If you get Josh Petty in the boat, you get David Sanders in the boat, you've got Lance Hurd already on this roster, you mix in Bennett Warren, your tackles are starting to look pretty good for the future. But again, top 25 prospect, 5-star. We're going to take a look at some highlights here, and then we're going to kind of go through his recruitment. These are his clips from his junior season, and this is a scouting report from Gabe Brooks over at 247 Sports. Says he's a high-level offensive tackle prospect who could legitimately project as a Power 5 defensive lineman as well. Size and length are unverified, but looks the part on the hoof. Relatively lean with ample frame space for adding mass. That's something that a lot of people, I saw a thread on VolQuest talking about Josh Petty, 6'4", 265, college football offensive lineman, especially on the interior. But he's got the frame to add some weight. Full-time two-way snaps and press on both sides of the ball. Quicker off the ball on offense than defense, but flashes surprising linear closing speed and pursuit. Georgia 2A state champion wrestler in the 285 weight class as a sophomore. Wrestling prowess translates in body control and hand-to-hand combat strength. Can get punchier but plays angry and finishes blocks. Mean streak is obvious. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for a wrestler with a little bit of a mean streak to him. Says motivated drive blocker who also climbs to the second level with relative ease. Very young for the 2025 cycle. Naturally high center of gravity but cognizant of leverage, firing off and engaging defenders. Need more consistent measure of pass pro ability, but functional athleticism suggests ample potential. Will face significant jump in competition going from lower level high school ball to high major level. But consistent dominance at multiple positions is promising. Ideally verified information data will become available by spring 2024. Athletic profile and on-field evidence suggest immense development potential. Even without full catalog of data, could become a multi-year starter at the high major level with NFL draft early round upside, especially if the measurements check out. So let's talk about Josh Petty. Let's talk about this offensive line. You got Lance Hurd, right? He was a 5-star prospect. You add David Sanders, put him at the opposite tackle position, and then you bring in Josh Petty on the interior. Max Anderson, William Satterwhite, Bennett Warren. All of a sudden, this offensive line is going from a lack of depth and a concern to a strength of this football team. And then you add quarterbacks like George McIntyre, like Nico, like Brandon. You've all of a sudden, this thing's turning around, and we are trending in the right direction. But again, Josh Petty set to be in town this weekend. Again, Florida State, the perceived front runner right now, but Tennessee has an opportunity to move the needle just a little bit. Let's go take a look at this article. This is from when he dropped his top 5 over at on3.com from Chad Simmons. Says, my final 5 schools are Stanford, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, Ohio State, and Florida State. Says Petty is looking to make a decision before his senior season, coming off of a strong official visit to Stanford, visited Georgia Tech this past Tuesday, that he will visit Tennessee this weekend, Ohio State on June the 14th, and then Florida State on June the 21st. What is it with Stanford and these offensive linemen? I saw where Andrew Babalola was just predicted to Stanford. Says Troy Taylor and the program and Palo Alto set the bar high. Coming off his visit, Petty told Steve Wiltfong the visit to Stanford was great. I really enjoyed getting back up to Palo Alto and getting a chance to know the staff better from the visit. Had a great time bonding with some of the recruits who committed, as well as getting to know the guys on the team better and learning more about their O-line room. Stanford is the full package for me, has the degree, has the development, and the coaches seem to really have a plan for taking the team to the next level. What's important to him? This is the quote, whoever makes me feel like a priority will separate one school from me. You can tell if a school wants you on how they talk to you, and I will go where I'm cared about. It's about those little things for me. Now these visits will show me a lot about the people and the education. Those things mean a lot to me, to my future. So that's Josh Petty, who will be in town officially this weekend. Again, Tennessee trying to swing the momentum there. Of course, Steve Wiltfong put out last week that Florida State's the favorite, but Stanford's certainly one of the programs we're watching. He goes on and says Georgia Tech, Ohio State, Auburn, Tennessee, and Oregon are some others in the thick of it. Doesn't matter. Grew up a Tennessee fan. Who's going to show me the most love? Go show Josh Petty some love on Twitter, because, again, I think you get him, you get David Sanders, and that's an interesting thing out there, right, that we heard about with Nick Moore. Nick Moore came in town for 865 Live, really hit it off with David Sanders. And the way it's reading in the media is these guys that have the relationships with David Sanders, it is playing into Tennessee's favor. It feels like Tennessee is the clear-cut front runner for the 5-star offensive tackle David Sanders. They've already got George McIntyre in the boat. Can they use that to go get a guy like Josh Petty? Let's talk about it in the comment sections as always. do me a favor and hit that thumbs up on the way out the door. You can go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below the video. And also shout out to the members of the channel. I appreciate the way you guys support what we do around here. You want to help support the channel for the fans, by the fans, also fan funded. Think about hitting that join button right over there beside subscribe. You can do that for as little as $1 a month. You get custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, access to fan call-in shows, and all kinds of fun perks and benefits. But that is going to do it for this one. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a great Friday. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.